Welcome to Manny's Irish Pub Sports Betting Show. I am your host, John Ryan, and I am joined by three of the best at WagerTalk.com and effing Tony. And that I think he's legally changing his name to that. I think he filed the application. I have Rob Vino in the house, two-time NBA best at WagerTalk, and Tony Mejia. He's just best at everything.
The two-timer.
Former CBS national beat writer. I got three smart guys in the show. And I'm going to add another one. I'm going to add Rocky Atkinson to the show.
I thought he did come back. We didn't run him off last fucking time.
Well, you know those pills you sent me, Tony? I sent them to Rocky. And it's just giving him all kinds of curves. Look at that.
Smart pills, Rocky.
Yeah.
That's why I've been winning lately.
So this is not the pharmaceutical show. This is a sports show.
Well,
and you know, I want to start out with the college football rankings because if, you know, Major League Baseball owners irritate the daylights out of Tony Finn. This stupid poll with no predictive value whatsoever is out again. And maybe it's more accurate this week, and maybe it does get more accurate as the weeks go on. I'm not surprised Michigan is in the second slot. I had on the show yesterday said that Cincinnati would jump to 3 and then Alabama. But you guys know what I'm going to say. If Oklahoma State wins,
they will win.
12 conference.
They will win.
Okay. If let's say they win 21 points or more.
Okay.
Is the margin of victory significant in that matchup to keep Cincinnati out?
It's margin of victory at this point in time. They'll tell you it's not significant, or it doesn't matter if they're lying to you. It matters. Aesthetics matter. It matters.
And is there any way that Ohio State can jump over Notre Dame? And my corollary or secondary question to that is, I think Notre Dame should not be allowed to move up simply because they're not playing any games. Cincinnati's 12-0. 12-1 is better than 11-1.
You can't penalize. You can't penalize. Does it penalize? You can't penalize something like that. You can't penalize.
Well, I'm not. They're not playing anybody. So why should they move up?
You can't penalize the son for the father's sins. You can't do it.
And they lost their coach. I mean, something must be wrong there.
Well, yeah, I'll tell you.
Yeah, but, I mean, Cincinnati can't lose to Houston. Simple as that. I think if Cincinnati loses to Houston, you know, even though they beat Notre Dame head-to-head, you'll see Notre Dame ahead of Cincinnati.
Oh, there's no doubt in my mind. None whatsoever.
I'd puke.
And guess what?
This is the whole thing with like people crying over coaches leaving. Like this is the market that has been created. This is just the way of the world right now, and like crying about it.
The way of the world.
How many minutes Brian Kelly's talking to his team for, and it's only 9, and Lincoln Riley didn't want to go say goodbye to his Sooners. Who cares? You know, this is where we're at, and unfortunately,
who's shaving? Who's shaving on the show? Do you not hear that? You hear the razor?
Hey, you better make sure your echo cancellation is off.
What?
But unfortunately, I sat through this with UCF when they went undefeated, and it's a very similar situation. The committee doesn't want Cincinnati in there, and Cincinnati's in a position where it has nobody to blame but itself if it doesn't get there. Like, take care of business against Houston. It's not going to be an easy game. Houston can play, but if they handle business, they should be number 4. I think they'll hold on ahead of Oklahoma State if both teams win.
Well, let me ask
you. Baylor probably wouldn't be as.
I can't. I have to get rid of. I got to kill that hawk. You hear him?
Yeah.
Is that you?
It was gone for half a second.
I don't know.
Yeah, when I mute myself, it's.
No, it's still there, John.
Can you pinpoint who it is?
Oh, there
it's off. Now it's
Let
off.
me.
Where you? That can't hear you at all. Perfect.
Yeah, it's me, I think.
Where you at? Where are you located at?
Well, he's got a stock car out there in the driveway, I think.
A Ferris wheel behind him.
Darlington
Ferris
qualified.
Rob Vino, what do you think about my attitude towards the college football playoff?
I think the good news for Cincinnati is that these games are staggered. Oklahoma State's result will already be in. They'll know what they need to do. If Oklahoma State wins by 4 touchdowns and they feel like they have to add style points, then at least they'll know it. Doesn't mean they'll do it.
They won't.
But
Well,
the way they're
I'll say this,
staggered,
Rob.
Oklahoma State is at noon. The other side plays at 4. So they'll know
Cincinnati,
where they
do you
stand.
agree with me on that? Do you agree? Cincinnati said they had some opportunities to add style points against some teams and failed
Tulsa and
miserably.
Tulane, namely.
Failed miserably.
Navy too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and,
But look,
and against
all that-
Tulane,
all
they
that is-
played.
all that is done. Over the last 2 games, which were against the toughest opponents that they played in that stretch, they destroyed SMU and they took care of business against DCU, and that's it. That's all you can do. You're undefeated. Beat Houston. Houston's really good. Hasn't lost since week 1, and I think they'll stay ahead of the Big 12 champ because let's face it, the Big 12 is down this year as well. And beating Baylor is not as significant as beating Oklahoma twice in a row. Which,
no. Baylor sucks. So does Oklahoma State, personally. But here's the deal: SMU, ECU, they don't have near the defense Houston has. Not going to be that easy against Houston.
Yeah, it won't be that easy.
Houston's got a lockdown corner.
If this committee sits down,
Yeah.
next week and reevaluates the entire season, and Oklahoma State has beaten Baylor twice, and Oklahoma State has beaten Oklahoma, and Oklahoma State's gone through the whole thing, and then they sit down and they realize that Cincinnati, up until the Houston game, has only played 3 teams that are going to bowl games.
Right.
You may have a different situation.
You're right.
It depends how impressive Oklahoma State is. I mean, Houston would be the 4th bowl team they're going to play this entire season, which is, take it for what it's worth, but it's not great as opposed to, again, if they sit down and they take the whole thing into context, if they throw this week's rankings out the window and start from scratch, which is what they say they do every week, right? Oklahoma State may overtake.
Sure.
That goes against what I said too, and that is you can't be penalized for your schedule. Most of these schedules were made. Well, their conference, they are what they are, but most schedules are made 3 and 4 years in advance. So who you played this year in your non-con, it's a mixed bag. It's reaching your hand in the magician's hat, not coming out with a rabbit.
Indiana coming into the season was a top 20 team.
Yeah, when they won that game, it was like a really
throw
good
last year out. Throw last year out because that was a mirage.
But I'm just saying the whole point is
right.
When Cincinnati played the Hoosiers, that was a good win. And Penix.
No, it was a quality. It was a quality win last year.
Right. No question. They're this year. But the point is like you play Indiana and Notre Dame back to back. Once that's done, and they beat Notre Dame in South Bend. Once that's done, you're saying, okay, we'll take care of business in the AAC.
Listen, I have made money. I've made hay with Notre Dame lately because I saw them about a month ago, and I saw that first off they got a couple guys in the secondary that are just monsters, and their offensive line, they had to replace everyone from last year. It took them far too long to become cohesive. But if you saw that USC game, and I'm not saying USC is Georgia, but they just manhandled USC, did anything they wanted to do, and it showed in the running game. So this Notre Dame team is good, except one thing: I have to go to LSU now. I can't coach them.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, that's what it is. And if for some reason Cincinnati loses, and obviously if Oklahoma State loses, and Alabama goes down, Notre Dame is going to be.
What if Alabama wins?
Listen, what if Michigan loses too?
Well, if Alabama wins, that's the biggest problem.
Here's the problem.
That's what I was thinking.
I'll ask you guys. I asked this question yesterday. You guys weren't here. Let me ask you something. Michigan's number 2. Now, if they're number 2 in the January 4, they're number 2 ahead of Alabama, ahead of these teams, then you have no problem, do you? Laying double digits on Michigan against Iowa, right? No problem, right? My ass, I don't trust Michigan. I'm not laying double digits.
Listen,
are you?
I looked at those poll standings, and I saw Lane Kiffin at number 8, and I'm immediately trying to think of ways Lane Kiffin can get in this thing. And if Alabama loses, and if Michigan loses, and if Cincinnati loses, And if Oklahoma State loses, guess what? Lane Kiffin's going to be in the Final Four.
Okay.
You think he'll leapfrog over Ohio State?
At least we'll be entertained between games with Lane there.
Oh, I'd be happy if he was in it.
Yeah. I like Lane.
I'd be happy.
Yeah, so
I don't care what his wife says. I think he's okay.
if Baylor wins, you guys all agree that they will not be in. There'll be no Big 12 representative.
Baylor can't buy their
They're
way in.
ninth, right? They're ninth.
Yes.
They've beaten Oklahoma.
They're tied with Oregon, Ole Miss, Ohio State, with the best 10-2 records. Michigan State's on that list, BYU, Iowa, Oklahoma, Pittsburgh, Wake Forest.
That's better. Is it you, Rocky?
Yeah, keep muting. Hey, it's my my fan on my laptop is going full.
Yeah, that Georgia cooking can really do it to you sometimes.
It's a good time for conspiracy theorists because what if everything's not on the up and up and the SEC decides to have Georgia lay down?
I love it. I love it.
Hold on.
I absolutely love it.
Hold on. It is not on the well. It depends on what you mean by up and up or who you're referencing in that because the money's already exchanged hands. It's already exchanged fucking hands.
Well, if Saban got the money, then Alabama's going to be in the Final Four.
Oh, I don't even think Alabama has to win. I just think they have to be close.
I have some notes I want to share with you guys on Georgia and why that's not going to happen.
A, B, E, or an F?
It's really just A. Georgia's first team since at least 1995. That's how far back I've gone in the database. That has allowed a yards per point ratio defensively of over 30. And for those that don't know what that is, that means that an opponent has to gain over 30 yards to get 1 point on average on the scoreboard.
Right.
The last teams to do it in the Power 5 that had 25 and over was Florida and Missouri in 2014, Alabama in 13, the Irish and Rutgers in 2012 when Schiano was there, and the Alabama Tide in 2009.
Was Bob Devaney the coach of Missouri when that happened?
No.
Coach of Nebraska, wasn't he?
Devaney? Notre Dame, right?
Bob Devaney was the coach of Nebraska, I think.
No, that was Devaney. That was the other
with
D
Johnny
guy.
Rogers and all them.
There's a name.
Johnny, that's the best game ever.
So I'm not done yet, Tony Finn.
Oklahoma. Okay, go ahead then, Mr.
Did you know
Oklahoma?
that Georgia, surprisingly, maybe you guys wouldn't be surprised, but in yards per point offensively, guess who's number one?
Well,
Georgia.
In what?
Yards per point offensively.
Oh, well,
that's
that's
like 10.8.
That's because
insane.
they turn somebody over on the 3-yard line and they score from, you get 6 points for 3 yards offense.
You can say that about Iowa, too, but Iowa's 12.8. That's a big difference.
That's cheated.
So we've never had a team in the history of college football, and if anybody knows otherwise, they can correct me, that has had a differential of over 20 between yards per point defense and yards per point offense. 20 is that
modern
20,
age.
That's 20% of the football field.
So what are you
Are
saying?
you concerned at all?
He's saying run to the window with Georgia.
Get to the punchline.
Yeah, the punchline is
they haven't really
bet 6.5 now.
Huh? Oh, it's too late. I got 4.
I mean, that's the only reason I give Alabama a puncher's chance because Georgia really hasn't played anybody. I mean, like,
they played the stinking SEC conference.
They played two teams. They played
down. Clemson couldn't move the football. Florida couldn't move the football.
No.
At this point, Alabama's the only team that they'll run into that can really sling it down the field.
Yeah, but Florida gashed Alabama for 350 rushing yards.
Two teams in the top 55 passing. Georgia's played 2 of them.
Right, exactly.
Alabama's played 5 because they're in that division where Mississippi and Mississippi State count.
Hey,
but they played 2 teams that can throw it.
What
now, you can't run it on them.
No, you're right.
You can't run it on them.
What you're saying
Brian Robinson's hurt.
What about recency bias with Auburn? 3 straight quarters held Alabama shut out.
Well,
doesn't that tell you something?
Auburn gained 180 yards counting overtime.
It tells me the same thing.
It tells me Alabama's defense pretty good.
It also was 10-0. And Auburn it's not in a conversation for the playoffs.
Well, how come San Diego State? Huh? How come San Diego
State.
State's yeah? Why come they're not in the January 4?
No, listen. The problem with Alabama is their statistical stuff doesn't match up to their final scores. They gain over 600 yards against Arkansas, but they only win by 7. They double Auburn in total yardage. Auburn doesn't even gain 185 yards. Now what the hell happened? And they barely win. They have to score a touchdown with 24 seconds left to win. The last 3 games have been, and then the Florida game, of course, too, was a bad one. But we'll see. I mean, they got a bunch of experienced receivers, Alabama does, running around the field against that secondary that they haven't seen yet, 4 juniors, right? And the other side has 4 kids, 3 freshmen. The tight end leads the team in receptions for Georgia. But George Pickens came back last week. Maybe that helps. Yeah. I think, as I ramble on here, I just worry about Bryce Young against that pass rush. That's what I worry about. Alabama allows a lot of sacks.
Their offensive line's a problem.
Jordan Davis and those guys are savages. And if you can't run against them and you have to pass,
forget it.
I don't know that Bryce Young runs it well enough, Stetson Bennett runs it well enough at least to get out of harm's way if Will Anderson is down.
Yeah. My point with San Diego State was you cannot you can't hold schedules against teams. I mean, you just can't. I mean, unless
sure you can.
It's just, well, how do you do that?
You discriminate against them the way they do Cincinnati.
The way they do what?
The way they do like any group of 5 teams.
You can't. Yeah, who's group 5 teams?
San Diego State.
Yeah, but guess what? There's no conference maybe that ranks lower on my power than the Mountain West. I mean, San Diego State doesn't even deserve to be ranked. They're the most one-dimensional team in football, and they're ranked.
All right.
Well,
scenario.
And they may go down this weekend.
Yeah, I agree. They may. If Lucas, I don't know if it's quarterbacking, but yeah, you're right.
I'm gonna let Rocky start with this one.
Yeah.
My scenario is that let's say Georgia wins 49-13. Just go along with me. It probably doesn't happen, but let's say that happens. Okay.
What happened?
Georgia wins 49-13.
Okay,
we're using our imaginations, Tony.
I have none.
The LSD in there.
I'm very creative with my thought process. I can think about just about anything. Michigan loses to Iowa by 20, or they just lose outright. They don't. They're double-digit favorite. If they lose, it's a bad loss.
Okay.
And let's say some act of God, Houston knocks off the Bearcats. Who are the final 4 going to be other than Georgia? Who's going to be 2, 3, and 4 then? You're telling me that Notre Dame is going to be
the
number 2 team in the country?
Of course they are.
Should be.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
If Oklahoma State wins, I think they go into the top 4.
Yeah.
I can't agree more.
That happens. Yeah.
Well, listen, I like Gundy, but that Oklahoma State team has a ton of holes. The whole Big 12 had holes, so it's hard for me to trust Oklahoma State. If you look at some of the metrics, look at some of their early games that they won when they were outgained, and everything just fell into place for them. One of those kind of situations. Not that Oklahoma State's bad. I mean, Gundy's been involved in 30 Bedlam games. Either as a player, 30. I thought he was only 27 years old. No, he's 40, isn't he? I'm 40. I'm a man. So yeah, he's been in 30. But my point is, if the scenario you're painting, that picture, it's a friggin' mess. No one's happy.
Well, don't you think it's a scenario where Ohio State could get in because of the list of the teams
what do you want Ohio State for?
Wait.
Why? I want to know why you want
all the teams we've talked about.
Yeah.
Isn't Ohio State with that offense the only one that on a neutral field would have a chance against that Georgia defense?
They just got clocked by Michigan.
In the snow at Michigan. In the snow at Michigan. And they had 4 turnovers. They beat themselves.
Now you're going to discriminate against Mother Nature.
Michigan didn't beat them. You really think Michigan won that game on their merit?
Well, I saw the game.
Gave it to them.
Yeah.
Well, did they give it? Why did they do that?
They didn't do that, Tony. How could you agree with that, Tony?
They were scared to play Iowa in the championship
I'm asking
game.
him. I want to hear this. How did they do that?
All right, well, go ahead.
It was conspiracy. They were afraid to play Iowa in the championship game, and they thought they'd have a better chance by losing to Michigan and then walking their way in because they knew Michigan was going to get killed by Iowa.
Wow.
We are using our imaginations.
We are, yeah. He's got. Listen, I don't know what bathtub you got that shit out of, but I want some of it.
Are my eyes red? No, I just get fired up with the committee, and I can't help but to think that this is an example of what the committee does in their meetings. They say, well, no, that's not right. No, that's this way.
There's about 8 piles of money in the center of the table, and it's got names on it. That's how they do their picking.
What last question on this, and we'll move on to something else that you guys really want to have a passion about.
Right.
What would Alabama have to lose by, in your opinions? We'll go around the table, starting with Rocky, and then Tony Mejia, and then F and Tony, and then Rob.
Okay.
What would Alabama have to lose by to be out of it, being that it's their second loss?
Well, I think it's according to what happens around them, too.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah. I mean, it's hard to say. If Oklahoma State lost, they would stay in front of them, I would think. Cincinnati lost, they would.
That's a good point, Rocky. Let me rephrase it then. The teams that are on the outside looking in all win.
Who loses?
What would Alabama have to lose by for them to leapfrog those winners to leapfrog over them?
That's a little better. Yeah. Okay.
I think they fall out. If Oklahoma State wins, if Cincinnati wins, Michigan wins, then I think you got to put Oklahoma State in the top 4. And it's probably according to how bad they win as well. I mean, if they're in a close game, Alabama loses in a close game, then it might be a tough time for the committee to choose between those two. Alabama would be probably my choice because I think they'd be better. They've been there, and everybody expects them there, I guess. Oklahoma State, they could be in a semifinal matchup and get blown out and lose viewers or whatever. I don't know.
What do you think, Tony Mejia?
I think that the only way that Alabama gets in on a loss is if Cincinnati is out with a loss, and Oklahoma State loses as well, because you can't put them in ahead of both of those teams, and odds are one of them wins. I think if Oklahoma State wins and Alabama loses by a field goal at the buzzer, that's your debate. Two-loss Alabama against one-loss Oklahoma State. Cincinnati's going to be in undefeated and going to be out if they lose. Period. I mean, there's no gray area there. So they take care of business against Houston. They're in as the 3 seed. Alabama loses by covers the spread, and Oklahoma State barely gets by Baylor. We could get a 2-loss Alabama team as the 4 seed ahead of Oklahoma State, and that'll be the big controversial thing for 2021. And since we always have one of these with the final rankings, but as far as Notre Dame goes, I think they're rooting for complete chaos with all those teams. That's the only chance that they have, because the committee's already come out and told you that they're not really keen on including them with Brian Kelly having put on it.
F and Tony.
Yeah.
What, do you live on a runway?
Yeah, no. Well, I do have my windows open. It's 80 degrees today here in the desert, and that was a low-flying something. But whatever it was, I don't pay. It was right over my head, because that's just white noise. But here's the deal: you have an issue. First off, it's a conundrum for the committee, and the committee is all that matters here. I don't give a crap who wins or loses, but no 2-loss team has ever been in the playoffs. So, in this situation, everybody's going to argue that if there was a 2-loss team that should be involved or should be included or leapfrog anyone else that's in their way, it would be Alabama for several reasons. First off, if a team can beat Georgia, it's Saban and Alabama because of their DNA, because of their style of play. Their offensive line isn't very good, but if they find a way to basically 3 steps and quick hitters, as far as the passing game goes, and they run the ball effectively, and if they're tricky or creative enough, right? They're the team. that can beat Georgia. Am I wrong? Now, and if you're going to argue about anything of those things, if anyone loses, if anyone loses on this weekend and can get in the top four or stay in the top four, it's only two teams, I think, and that's Georgia and Alabama. Is that strange? Or am I wrong?
I guess I agree with that. I still think Ohio State's offense is the only one that can really
listen.
Potentially score 40 on
Alabama has a good offense. They have a good offense too, but their offensive line is bad.
Why do you keep mentioning Ohio State? They're done.
I'm not going to ask
because Penn State got screwed out of the Big Ten championship game.
He's obsessed now. His obsession's gone from Penn State to Iowa. I mean, to Ohio State.
Big fraud.
I got to find a passion somewhere when my passion's eliminated.
Ryan.
Shit, if the Phillies or the Sixers could be in this thing, that he would vote for them.
Let me ask my same friend Rob Vino. Let me get us back on course before I leave. Because all right, so Rob, if Alabama beats Georgia and Michigan beats Iowa, who's the number one seed?
If Alabama beats Georgia, and I'd still say it's Georgia. That's assuming that Alabama doesn't destroy Georgia.
Alabama beats Georgia by a touchdown.
Yeah, by Georgia.
Okay.
I would say Georgia remains.
And Bama's 2?
Yeah. And Bama would probably be 2, yes.
And if Bama went to 1, Georgia would still be 2, without question. And they may put out. They could put out. Yeah,
I'll buy that.
But that's the biggest problem for the committee. Don't you agree? Because then you only have 2 slots to fit 4 teams.
Here's the problem: whoever got the most money wins with that committee. That's what happens. Who's got the most money?
Year,
they have made no bones of. At least they've been consistent, even though I don't agree with it. That it's not best resume; it's who we think the best team is. Clearly, the SEC is king, and they do have the most talent. Michigan might object, but certainly the Big Ten at this point, they cannibalized each other this year. So I have no problem with Alabama beats Georgia, those two being top 2, and then the Big Ten champ being 3 if it's Michigan, and then the 4 seed being undefeated Cincinnati or 1-loss Oklahoma State.
It is crazy, guys, because Michigan's ahead of Michigan State by 16 in the third quarter. If they don't throw that game away, Cade McNamara fumbles on his own 25, gives away a touch. If they don't give that, they're undefeated right now.
Question.
Totally different conversation.
But here's the deal. John says that they threw the game. It was on
the Michigan State game?
Yeah,
no, not that game.
That wasn't part of the whole conspiracy?
I'm saying Ohio State threw the game against Michigan.
Yeah, no.
Because they were afraid of Iowa.
Rob's right. But then ifs and buts for candy and nuts, right? That's the beauty of this whole thing, and that is there's a lot of things that could have happened and didn't. So
I think that's why this year, guys, more than any other year in college football, it's going to end up like the college basketball selection show where there's going to be bitching from all angles here because there's going to be – if some losses happen inside that top 4, you're talking about separating like 8 teams with a piece of paper, and everybody's going to have an argument. The arguments are going to be nuts for everybody. Yeah. Notre Dame's going to want in. Ohio State's going to want in. Everybody's going to want in if that happens. So we'll see. I think the committee's praying to God that the top 4 all win and there's no issues. Just roll with it because as soon as they start to lose, and if more than one loses, it's really crazy. Because then you're talking about a Notre Dame shouldn't be allowed in because they don't play a conference championship game. I think I looked and saw Oregon at like number 10.
Yep.
If they destroy Utah, Oregon's going to say, we went to Columbus and beat Ohio State. Don't put that in before us. It'll be completely nuts.
No, what happens is this. What happens if all 4 of the top 4 win, and it's not the top 4 next week? Because that won't surprise me one bit. It won't surprise me.
The only way somebody leapfrogs undefeated Cincinnati is if it's Oklahoma State. Right. It won't be it won't be Ohio State. It won't be
Alabama. Alabama loses by 1 to Georgia.
they'll stay in the top 4, but they're already in the top 4. You're talking about somebody leapfrogging Cincinnati, who's 4th. The only team that can leapfrog Cincinnati if they win is Oklahoma State.
Yeah,
because then the committee could say, you know what, we prefer Oklahoma State in the Big 12 anyway, even though Cincinnati's under.
Because the first thing is all 4 of the top 4 can't win.
That's true.
So one of them has to
They can. If they all 4 win, then you guys. I'll know. Everything will make perfect sense in my life then if all 4 win.
And I've got to get going, but the thing that I want to happen is I want Georgia to blow out Alabama, and then I want to hear all the whiny SEC people saying Alabama should still get in because the SEC is the best, and that'll happen.
Will they say it in that tone? Because that would be.
They will.
Okay.
With a southern drawl.
Will they have bras on? Will they
Roll
wear bras?
That would be awful. Not as bad as Notre Dame getting in, but it would be awful.
I will catch you later on this week. I got to get moving because I'm
okay.
Thanks,
Tony.
Small ball.
Thanks for stopping by.
My best bet over in Heat and who the hell are they playing?
They're playing the Heat. They're
playing 7.
Heat and Cavs, and Tony Finn will tell you why because we were talking about.
I'll tell you why.
See you guys.
Because a guy named Tony said so.
Thanks.
Damn, Tony said so.
I'm scared to ask F and Tony what the play is.
It's over. Miami over that total 2. It was 203. It was 2. It's up to no. That's a different one. 206. What is it? Let's look. There's another play. I like the under. In that game. No, it's 204, 206 over Cleveland, Miami because with Bam out, the metrics are astonishingly strange. I mean, they're much better offensively and much less than defensively. And the more Lowry and the less Hero, more pace.
And speaking of pace, I did a NBA show today with UCapper, who's Ronald Kabang, right?
Oh, I don't know him, but yeah.
He was number 1 at SportsMemo last year in Units 1, over 80. Pretty darn good. And we were talking about the Sixers and the Celtics tonight. First night, the Celtics will be probably arguably at full strength. Sixers are at full strength for a couple games now. Celtics are favored by 3, but the total opened at 210, now 206, and we were really leaning under. And it's something I think one of you gentlemen said about, I think it was Tony Finn actually, that when Embiid's in the game, the pace of play is drastically slower by as many as 7 or 8 possessions than when he's not.
That's correct. And why is that?
Because it takes time for Embiid to get down to the court and get set in the box.
Well, he's got to talk to about 4 or 5 fans. He's got to say something to the ref. By the time he gets in fucking position, it's shot clock's gone. No,
yeah, but
because
I mean, they're number 3 in the NBA in free throw shooting. Obviously, because Ben Simmons is on a holdout.
They'd be number 1. Ben was there.
I can't argue that.
I knew you wouldn't.
I can't argue that.
I knew you wouldn't.
They wouldn't be 10-9. And speaking of records, you know what really blew my mind, and you guys might have noticed this already. There's only 3 teams in the Western Conference that have a record that is greater than 1 game over 500.
Okay, that's because
did you notice that?
Top heavy right now.
Well, I mean, it's top heavy, like a silo. Because you got Phoenix,
a good-looking girl,
and you got
top heavy.
There's very little at the top, Tony. In my analogy.
Oh, so I finished them because I'm confused.
Well, there's Phoenix and Golden State, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, how can you win 17 in a row and you're still in second place?
Because you didn't win
in the division.
You didn't win 19 in a row.
Well, they probably will.
But they're not in second place. They're not in second place. They're tied for first.
My models had the Knicks, and I thought I was really smart. And boy, did Phoenix make me feel completely effing stupid. But you have Utah Jazz 14-7, and then the rest of the league is either 1 game over 500 or worse.
Yeah. Well, here's the problem with what you're asking too, and that is they cross. We have non-con games, so you have to, in that scenario, you have to look at the East too.
I heard that siren, Tony. I thought maybe you're going to have to leave the show here pretty soon.
How did you hear a siren? Oh, I got these. I don't hear anything. I don't smell anything. I don't hear anything. Too many head injuries. All right. But
Ravino, what do you see in the NBA tonight?
I think that real quick, back to the one game over 500 stuff out of the West. I think that the amount of impact injuries in the West to all those teams probably have some effect on those records. I mean, I'm just looking down the list here. Denver's 10-10 for a reason. Play entire season without Murray, but they played a couple games without Jokic. Portland's 11-11 for a reason. Lillard's been in and out. He's just not right health-wise. Clippers are 11-10 for a reason because they're all banged up. Lakers, one game over, banged up. Dallas, 10-9. Missed Luka for 3 games. They're only 10-9. Memphis,
they're not going to get any better.
Durant.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, all those teams right there that all those teams you would consider playoff teams, 1 through 8. The only two that haven't been hurt are Utah and Phoenix. Golden State and Phoenix. Probably why. The rest of all that, Utah hasn't been hurt.
Guess what? Golden State is hurt, and they're still 18-3. There, you have to wait till they get their 3 points. Yeah, bam, lights out. Right? They are the best team. Here's the deal. I like it. I think those are a little bit mirage, a little bit fictitious. That being Phoenix and Golden State. I think we have a save Houston, save Orlando. Although Houston's won 3 in a row, right? There's just a lot of good teams. If they're all healthy, there's a lot of good teams. So you have to be pretty damn good to beat the NBA anyway. It's tough to beat the NBA.
Yeah. COVID's running rampant through the NBA right now.
Yeah.
Every day you look up, there's more people sitting down.
Yeah.
It's going to be a scramble for a lot of these teams.
I just signed up for 4 shots this weekend. I'm getting 4 boosters.
Next week, Zion's going to be back, and New Orleans already playing better the last 4 games. And once Zion gets back,
and they're playing the Mavs tonight, who have not been playing well.
They're not. Listen, the Mavs are not. They're going to have problems with the offensive scheme. I think Jason Kidd's offensive scheme. He's still trying to run the same one he ran in Milwaukee and it didn't work. And he would prefer to run. He'd prefer to be run off the 3-point line and take elbow jumpers, mid-range jumpers. That's the only one team I know that does that and does it well. That's Devin Booker and Chris Paul.
You know what I heard last night? The team that scores the most mid-range points per game.
Right.
You know who it is? Because it ain't
Memphis,
Phoenix.
Probably.
It's actually Brooklyn.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Score more mid-range points than any other team per game. I was surprised to hear that.
Memphis can't shoot a 3-pointer. They try. Listen, they go to the rim. They just attack the rim. Morant. Listen, I looked at the metrics. It's a small sample, you guys, so we're gonna have to wait a while. But without Morant, I bet against Morant. I bet against Memphis the first time Morant was out, and that went well. But that's a hard gauge. I mean, I think he's the fuse that makes that bomb go. And without him, we'll see. But the metrics right now, they're about 2 points per 100 possessions less than with Morant off the floor, which all 5 of us, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, know is wrong. Stats can't lie.
They scored 128 without him.
Yeah, right.
I can tell you one thing, guys. There's somebody among the 4 of us that is just scorching hot
5
in the
of us.
NFL.
That would obviously be Rocky and probably John, too.
No, I'm too humble to bring promotion to myself.
Oh, no, you're not. No,
Hey, did I tell you about the game I had last week? Man alive.
Yeah, there we go. Now we're talking.
Yeah,
I suck. I suck. I have always sucked. I will always suck. But I'm there for a purpose. I have a purpose in life. I'm worth something.
Well, it bounces everybody else out that wins all the time, like Rob, Rocky, and me.
I'm the
Right.
punching bag. I'm the punching bag, the shape of a form of a scapegoat. But go ahead. I'm listening.
All right, so
Rocky's
Rocky's red hot in
60
the NFL.
67% on the season.
Nice, Rocky. Nice.
Yeah. On a good little run in a lot of sports, actually.
Good.
Very
Well, then let's listen. Let's go. We'll have John call the girls and do some kind of striptease. We'll go viral. We'll sell some plays for you.
Well, we'll just all be quiet,
Well-
and instead of us all having a best bet, we'll let Rocky give all four, and then we can all go to
there's
the window.
5 of us. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 5 of us. 5 free picks.
Right?
And
do wanna-
counting our egos, there's probably 7.
I do want to share something that came across to me last night, and I had Ralph Michaels to do some research this morning and make sure it was accurate.
Ralph Michaels, like the guy that does that show before we had internet. What's his name?
I think it was called Bet on It back then too.
What was that? What was his name? Because every time I hear Ralph Michaels, it's the Michaels.
It was North Coast Sports.
No, the Sports Machine. The guy that used to do that show on TV.
Oh, George Michaels.
George Michaels.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The guy used to play sing for Wham.
Yeah.
Right. I know. Okay. Talk to Rocky.
Same guy.
So, NFL, in the NFL, you have NFL teams often against the spread loss, and they're playing a team often against the spread win. If you take that team that's off the against the spread loss, you are 50, 26, and 1, 65.8% against the
Man,
spread.
you were talking right up. The guy's above you. His eyes just started twinkling when he hears that kind of stuff.
So, John, dig a little deeper and see if that's a short. That's a short
Well,
term.
I'm known to do the digging after Ralph gives something out like that, right?
See if it goes a little further.
I
back
got
out,
a new
does.
dog. He's a digger too.
Let me get to the database here, and we can play around with it a little bit.
Listen, when those types of things happen same season, in season, I would generally pay more attention to them because they stick for 1 year. Those types of numbers generally aren't long-term, 10-year numbers, 15-year numbers. Something's going on this year where what'd you say, Rocky, 50, 26, and 1? That's pretty damn good.
What was the
26
the parameters, Rocky? Say it again slowly so I can type it in.
NFL teams often against the spread loss against a team often against the spread win.
That's it. That's the only part. That's the only criteria.
Yep, that's it. And you take the team that's often
ATS
against
loss.
the spread loss. Yep. Versus a team off an ATS win.
I mean, sometimes it is that simple. 2-minute handicap.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well.
And how many seasons was that over? I think it goes back to
this-
like 2006, I think, sometimes.
No, it's just.
I think that's just this year. I think.
Well,
That's
if
just-
it's 50 and
Oh, really?
25. Yeah.
Yeah,
All right, so
but you can double check it and see. Make sure.
yeah, so let's do season 2021, and that would reflect parity.
Certainly would. Yeah.
What did he have? 50?
50, 26, and 1 is what he come up with.
I have 49, 27, and 1.
All right.
So the same
so
thing. I
that's-
just one of
That's
the
close.
Yep.
Just one game off.
Yep.
right, and I use the closing line when I do these. I have the opening line too, so that's probably the difference.
And a lot of times you can just be using different closing lines. Those
Yes,
are
yes,
basically
yes.
the
Yeah.
same exact number
Yeah.
for all intent and purposes. That's a strong number. I'm going to just stop research and head right to that.
Well, I'll add on to it. I will add on to it. Team is playing a divisional matchup, coming off a ATS loss, and their divisional foe is coming off an ATS win. 12-5 straight up, 11-6 against the spread, 11-6 to the under in 2021. Let's go back to 3 years just for fun.
Those make sense to me just because divisional is so important, and a team off I guess it has to be ATS loss, but the team off the ATS loss would be the more desperate team at that point in time.
So let's see who the teams are, because then you guys can talk about something else while I'm doing this.
Oh, this is great. Love
I
it.
can talk about golf.
Yeah, we could, but we're not going to.
So the teams involved here are play on Vikings, Seahawks, Steelers. So the Steelers are coming off an ATS loss of double digits. So let's plug that in. Double-digit ATS previous game loss. Divisional opponent coming off an ATS win. 4-1 this year. Straight up and against the spread, the under is 4-1. I think we're onto something.
Yeah.
And then 3 seasons ago, even better, 12-6 ATS. And I'd probably go back to 06, and it probably isn't going to make any sense because football was different then. You know what? All the games are recent. I went back to 2006, and there's only 5 games that match that from what it was in 2019. Start of 2019. That's pretty amazing.
So which one was that, John? Double-digit ATS loser?
Yep.
Playing a divisional game the next week against an ATS winner.
Yep.
Pretty good.
Did Ralph do anything with home and away?
No, that's all I asked him to do.
Let's see what it is.
I know it's a contest between Ralph and Tony Finn to see who sleeps the least.
Ralph can win.
Well, Ralph looks better.
Damn right. Ralph's younger. He's smarter. More better
Home
looking.
teams this year off a double-digit ATS loss against an opponent, not a divisional opponent, just an opponent that won against the spread. The previous week, the under's 12-5. So that would be the Steelers this week against the Ravens. Under 44. And I know you asked me to do away teams in this role, and there's probably not many. Oh, wow, there is. Okay, road teams in the previous game lost by double digits to the number against an opponent that won the money. 11-5 ATS. That's 69%, 68%. And that actually is the Chargers on the road against the Bengals. That's amazing. Good stuff, Rocky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just shared that with a lot of people, hopefully.
Yeah, I can't play. We share with my I'm streaming this thing right now. All Ukraine. So it's gonna be crazy.
Should I put the translator on or
No, don't need you.
They gamble over there, man.
Yeah. They wait for the intel on the which tennis match and soccer game is crooked. They're all over it. There's a lot of those damn games. Especially the tennis. That tennis, how easy is that to fix?
Tough
I
to
just
prove.
come up.
yeah?
I just come up lame.
I do have to get out of here, guys. You want me to give a best bet for a roll?
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
It can't be Cincinnati, or it can't be Cincinnati.
It'll be the Chargers.
I know.
I'm gonna go with something in the NBA tonight. It's actual release that I give to my members. I'm gonna play Washington Wizards minus the points. It was -4 when I give it out.
All right.
I got them winning by double digits, so hopefully it cashes for us.
Who's the opponent?
Play Minnesota.
Timberwolves.
Yeah, T-Wolves.
Oh. I
can honestly say, Rocky, I hope you're right because I'm on that side as well. So
I hope you're right because I'm not on that game at all. I would have been on the under, except for Beverly's not in the game still. If Beverly's in that game, I'm under the 218 all night long.
So if we're doing DraftKings, we should put Bradley Beal in the lineup.
Beal, he doesn't play for Minnesota anymore.
For me, it was as much of a fade of Minnesota as it was a play on Washington. Tell you the truth.
Yeah.
Minnesota's little light personnel wise tonight.
They are. You're right. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Our regular guest, James
All right.
McGinnis, and Max on record. Of course, he's here. I didn't really get this. Like, what does this mean? Am I supposed to call him the lurker? And I don't look like Pappy, do I?
I don't know who Pappy is.
Like from the Waltons, I guess, or something like that, right?
No.
Who's Walton? Who's Walton?
John Boy.
Bill Walton. Bill Walton.
You know,
Bill. Bill. Luke. Bill and Luke.
takes them
I'm in.
17 minutes to say goodnight to each other.
The Godfather of computer capping. I don't know. I mean, what would you call me? The GCC
That's
as opposed to the BCC,
Right?
You remember
or
when
CBC?
when I went to school, we had this computer. We had to punch these cards, and the computer was as big as a house.
Correct.
Yeah. So that's the kind of capper you are. See you,
I'm
Rocky.
out of here,
Rocky,
guys.
thanks for your time, buddy.
Go take
care.
a ride on that Ferris wheel back there.
Good luck tonight.
You too.
And it wouldn't be a show if I didn't do this on a Wednesday. So give me 1 minute,
Okay.
and there it is. That is the 19 player pool for this week's tournament, and it's the Hero tournament. I can tell you a little bit more about it here in 1 second.
There's no Tiger Woods. There's no Arkansas boys in that list. I'm out.
I'll tell you one thing. When you listen to Tiger talk, I mean, it's my takeaway from it is that he really feels blessed that he walked out of that hospital with his leg.
I think it's set. I think
Man.
it's conspiracy. I think it's set up. He's setting everybody up, saying, well, "I don't think I'll ever be able to play." He's going to come back and win a major, win the Masters, like Jack Nicklaus did.
Well, Nicklaus was the same age right now in the last one, and this tour is way deeper than 1986.
Now, here you go again, discriminating against somebody's schedule or who's in, who's out.
Well, as long as the tournament's not in Indiana near South Bend, I'll do a draft lineup.
Was that where that tournament was?
No. No, they don't have tournaments in Indiana that I know of.
They don't?
Maybe one.
Well,
I'm sure there's great golf courses there.
Oh, I'm sure they have some D-League golf tournaments there.
It's called the Corn Ferry Tour.
Okay, what?
It's called the Corn Ferry Tour.
I thought you said Corn Ferry.
KORNFERRY.
Oh, well, I thought FAI.
Corporation.
Yeah, they're a corporation
ferry.
to
Oh, yeah, no, but I was thinking ferry, like that kind of ferry. Go ahead.
Man alive.
Tooth fairy, stuff like that.
Oh, man.
Well, you know what? I'm not telling you about the course then. Here,
Why?
I'm writing it down.
Okay.
But I was surprised that DeChambeau and McIlroy came up as the players to use the most often. Because if you look at the top of the list, all those guys cost a lot of money. Which means then you got to add some of these others.
Oh, I see. I see what you're saying. Yeah. Justin Rose. Justin Rose. I thought he had some health issues. He's okay.
You're thinking of the Bachelorette where they say it's just a rose.
I don't know. What is the Bachelorette?
I saw that last night. I think it was. When is that on? Tuesdays?
What show is that?
It's where it's a dating show.
Oh,
It teaches you how to date 32 guys simultaneously, and not any of them getting pissed off.
Yeah,
it's on primetime TV. I'm surprised you guys didn't hear about it.
I don't.
I've heard about it.
I stream everything.
Never sat down to watch it.
Yeah, this week was Hometowns, where the would-be suitor for this young lady, the young lady gets to meet the family, the parents. So they take them to their hometown.
Why would you ever go on Jerry Springer? So if you go on Jerry Springer, then you'll probably do anything on TV, won't you?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to be in the audience at Jerry Springer.
I don't know. I'd be worried about who was sitting next to Jerry Springer show.
Well, I mean, in the college days, you would have done it, right?
No.
If
they would have called me and said, "Listen," if they had called me and said, "We have $1 million check that I don't want it. I'm not coming near that building. Never." I'm not falling for that crap.
Hey, was Jerry a smart guy, though? Former mayor of Cleveland.
Yeah, he's the one that wrote a
US
check
Senator.
to the prostitute. He's the one that wrote a check to the prostitute, and that's why he's a smart guy, all right?
I mean, he paid his bills. So that's what we're all supposed to do, right?
He was a mayor at the time.
Just like the U.S. government does.
Well,
right?
Unless you're the president, never mind. I'm not going to go there either. I'm not going there. Somebody be knocking at my door in the next hour.
Yeah. Well, Tony or F and Tony, do you have a best bet for the show?
I have five of them
in 45 seconds.
Oh, I had one
squared. That's your max time limit.
I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Can I have? Give me 4 seconds to look at something, an injury real quick, and I'll give you a winner. Who cares if it's the best winner? It's a winner. And it's not going to be Alabama. Not going to be Georgia.
Well, I can give you mine ahead of time.
Well, you go ahead, and I'll do it. I'll pull mine. I'm looking for an injury. Go ahead.
Sixers Celtics, and I do think the Sixers are going to win this game. Sixers are 22-8-1 following a loss installed as a favorite. They're number 3 in the league in free throw percentage. I still don't know if Brown is playing for the Celtics. He was listed as questionable just an hour ago.
He'll play. It doesn't matter how much. Yeah.
Well, he was probable this morning, and now suddenly he went like around 4 o'clock Eastern Standard. He was listed as questionable, and I didn't know. It said unknown.
Late additions to the injury report in the NBA are the most reliable. If they're added late, it's reliable. There's something wrong.
But questionable is worse than probable.
Well, yeah. Mm-hmm. Just the ad. He was already on there, really. So, yeah.
Whether he plays or not, I'm on the Sixers. I think the Sixers have edge in their efficiency on offense, field goal percentage, effective field goal percentage, free throw percentage. They don't turn the ball over as much as Boston. Better assist to turnover ratio, and I think their bench is much stronger too.
None of that matters. They need to be cohesive. They need to get Embiid back into the flow of things. We know those metrics are. Phoenix is better. Philly's a better team than Boston. Period. The reason they have, if you're losing when Embiid scores 45 points, something isn't quite meshing correctly. You agree? So
yeah. And one of the referees, like we talk about umpires in baseball, one of the referees is Kane Fitzgerald tonight. The Sixers have won they've covered the spread 6 of the last 7 times that Kane has been on the court.
Is she a new official?
Scheduled for tonight.
All right.
That's what perfect. I read.
Well, I would be on, if I'm in that game, if I'm in that room, I'm on Philly too. So I wouldn't argue with you on it at all. That's crazy. Right? Crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, I know we don't have much time, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give you, and you have to lay the wood tonight, but there's reasons why you should. And since I don't have like 4 seconds left, I can't really give them all to you, but trust in the freak. Trust the Bucks, who are absolutely destroying everything in their path right now. They get to play a Hornets team who has hit a really bad defense. Their metrics defensively are just, look at what they've done recently, and they're just struggling. They're struggling to protect the rim, and they can't. They're giving way too many. 33% of all 3-point shots. There's nobody within 6 feet of the shooter. And against Milwaukee, if you don't protect the rim and you don't guard the 3-point line, you're probably going to lose, and by margin. Take Milwaukee, lay the number 8. I think maybe more than that now.
So we have Milwaukee. We have the Sixers. What was Rocky's pick? Can't forget that. Miami. Was it Miami?
No, Rocky Bengals. Liked. Did he like the Wizards?
Wizards, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Ravino likes. Ravino's going to be our anchor.
Yeah, what's he like? What's Ravino?
All right. Well, I'm going to say this.
Say it.
Because there's options here. But
let me get a pen.
Hold it. Give me a pen.
I'm kidding.
He's going to go with Seattle in the NHL.
Now, the NBA, I really like to play all good offensive teams to bounce back from bad shooting performances. And if I get a game where I have two teams involved in the same game, generally that's even better for total up and over. Indiana, without Miles Turner, has to go small. Sabonis had 25 rebounds, I think, the other night playing center.
Well, if you're playing home, I agree with you.
And so I'm going to play that one over, John. I think it's 217, 217 and a half, somewhere in that vicinity. But Atlanta's off a lousy shooting night. Should be fine. Again, Bogdanovich is now out, but Atlanta's one of those teams with plenty of perimeter shooting to compensate for that.
Reddish is out too, isn't he?
Reddish might be out. And let's not forget that oh, goodness gracious, the UVA kid at small forward who's been out for about a week now. Tone, their best defensive player, the small forward. DeAndre Hunter.
Hunter, the best defensive player they have.
Yeah.
That's the best defensive player by far.
And that's another
reason
why to play under. It just looks like a small ball, fast-paced game here. So I'm going to go over 217. Indiana, Atlanta. It seems to me that Rick Carlisle has not made up his mind what the heck he's even going to do with that team. Some days they're high scoring, some days they're low scoring, some days they're good defense, some days they're no defense. I don't know what they're going to do over there. But I like it over tonight.
I like that. I considered that play as well. I did consider it. So I've been selectively playing some. Well, last night I had a big play. I had a big ticket under last night, but I had the night before I had an over. Overs are coming back a little. There's a little bit of a swing coming back. A point more. I think 215 now is the average final. It's up a point, and the over I played 2 nights ago I thought was so easy, and it ended up being easy. They're never that easy, and that was Chicago, the Bulls. The Bulls are suffering some of that negative regression. We all knew they weren't that good defensively. You just don't jump from being bad last year to being as good as they're playing, and a big part of that is what. You got to like what DeRozan's doing. You got to like some of the pickups they made. That's for certain. So, but I like that.
Yeah, Lonzo's having a nice year.
Yeah, he is. He really is. I thought they were going to trade him back. I thought he was going to go back to New Orleans as soon as Zion's healthy.
And you're a fan of defensive metrics, Tone. Atlanta's defensive metrics are not very good whatsoever.
Horrible. Not anything close to last year. Now, there's reasons for some of that too. But and the truth is this: they were just really good during the playoffs. Defensively, they were doing everything right, and that story. They still weren't that great during the season, and I agree with you, Rob. Listen, Atlanta is not very good defensively. They're just not. They're not.
Well, Nate can't impose his will on that team this year.
No. Yeah. Right. Here's the deal. The problem I have with Washington is their offensive metrics are just hard. They're unsightly. They're really struggling offensively, man. That's the problem I have with Washington. But that's
they got all those Lakers on that team. That's why. We're ski profit.
I had a problem yesterday. Well, I wanted to be on the show yesterday, the NBA show. I had to get to sub because I had some personal things I had to do. But I would have been. I looked up at that game yesterday, Rob, and I saw the Kings were up by 10, 9 or 10 early, and I said that line makes no sense. It just makes no sense in that game yesterday. And I gave it to Joey to read off, but the net right now, the Kings have a better net than the Lakers, and they were on the road, and LeBron was questionable, and they were 4 or 5 point favorites. Listen, as long as the Lakers are going to stay, if the market is going to support that, then we should be making some money. We should have already made some money.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I'm scrolling some more results from Rocky Atkinson, stimulating my mind with that Ralph Michaels. I love Ralph Michaels stuff. I even took it one step further. Well, I figured, why stop at 1 loss each? Let's try 2. Mm-hmm. And this is greater than, it's 2 or more on each side of that streak. So I went back to 2012, and teams that are on a 2-game ATS win streak or more, and the opponent's on an ATS streak loss or more, 2-game loss. And the one that's on the winning streak is a dog of 4.5 or fewer points.
Yep.
The under is 28, 14, and 3 pushes. And last I checked, that's 67%.
That's pretty damn good.
And unfortunately, there's no team that qualifies this week. So, but I mean, it's good to know.
Yeah. What the hell? What the hell?
I mean,
Hey,
I
listen.
am fitting it in there, but I mean, it's still.
I
it's
have
still pretty
3
darn good.
minutes. I have 3 minutes, and I'd like to check out early so that I could.
Oh, we can end it now. I mean,
So
you
I
can
can do a
take us
couple
home,
shots.
Tony, if you want.
I
Why don't
can?
you take
I
us
can?
home?
Okay.
Yeah.
Hold
You
on.
think that's safe, Rob?
Can I get sound effects?
Okay, let's go.
FAA approved, though.
Oh no, I can't do it then.
Well,
I can't speak.
I'm not responsible for what you say.
I'll start singing a hee haw song.
Oh, Buck Owens.
Will you guys sing with me?
I didn't even know you could sing.
I can't. It doesn't stop me. Never stops me from doing anything. Just because I can't do it. If somebody tells me I can't do it, Katie, bar the door. I'm certainly going to try.
So somebody
Katie-
told you once that you'll never lose in your entire life again after a great run?
I've never
So you
lost.
wanted to prove them wrong, and you went on a losing streak.
I've never lost. You know my mantra. You know. Listen, I don't ever wish me luck. Don't ever wish me luck because I can only have bad luck. Why? Because I'm always right.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only time I lose.
Is that
So
your
if
take? Is that to take us home?
No, you're gonna take us home because
Outro?
I'll start humming as you do take us home. You know.
Like Kumbaya or something, maybe?
So,
Anyway, Rob Vino, thank you for being on the show.
thank you.
This came together
Thank-
last minute,
Thank you, Rob.
and it's always a pleasant surprise for a way for me to end my day with you guys. I mean, you guys are the meat and potatoes of this show, and having Rocky on made it all the much better. So on behalf of Rocky, Rob Vino, F and Tony Mejia,
Yes.
and of course myself, WagerTalk.com, and all the people on that media team that make these videos so damn good. May all the wins be yours.